All right. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think, shall we start the webinar? Yeah, there are 32 people. So we can start.
Yeah.
All right. So hi, everybody. I'm Shashwat from the Yoda project. And today we've all come together to have a webinar to know more about internships in Germany. So today we have with us Vishal, Karthikeyan, and Ankit. So they'll be speaking to you about the DARTwise scholarship and various other ways into getting into Germany for an internship. So we all think that DARTwise is the only way to go for a German internship, but that's not the case. So we'll just look at the entire scenario. Over to you guys.
All right. Karthikeyan, can you?
Yeah, I will share.
Yeah.
I'll go to presentation mode. Is it visible?
Yeah.
Yes.
Go to the first
slide.
Yeah.
First.
Yeah. Now it's in the first slide.
All right. So hi guys. I'm Vishal. I was a recipient of DARTwise 2019, and I'll be joined by Karthikeyan, who was also a DARTwise scholar. We also have Ankit, who's not a DARTwise scholar but got an internship in Germany and did it remotely due to this COVID situation. So he'll talk you through how to get internship outside of DART. So I'll be mainly talking about how DARTwise procedure works. So yeah, I guess that's it. The DARTwise Y stands for Working Internships in Science and Engineering, and DART is the official German academic exchange service. Karthikeyan, can you go to the next slide?
Yeah.
All right. So basically, DARTwise is for pursuing internships, especially the summer internships in Germany, and they have a list of institutes which are eligible. I'm guessing people are mostly from NIT, but even outside of NIT, you can check if your college falls into the list. You can just Google DARTwise, and then the first link will take you to what information you need. So yeah, you can be enrolled in engineering, mathematics, and even natural sciences like physics, chemistry, biology. So this is applicable only for people in their third years. So second years, if you're tuning in, you can use this information when you're applying for then your next year. And for third years, I think the application portal will open soon. So you can just keep this information in mind. So I guess that's it. That's the main who are all eligible to apply. And next slide. Okay, so DARTwise will allow internships only in public or state-funded institutions, and any institution other than this will be some research institutes which are also publicly funded. I'll come to that later. But DARTwise will not sponsor you if you're looking to work into some company or a private research institute. So that's very clear. And it needs to be at least 2 months. That is, your internship needs to be a minimum of 60 days for DART to sponsor and cannot be more than 90 days. So you have a lot of perks. I mean, you get a monthly stipend of 750 euros, which is more than enough. It's basically calculated as 25 euros per day. And you also get a travel subsidy for booking your flights and everything around 1,050 euros. That translates to roughly 90,000 rupees. And you also get a health insurance and personal liability insurance through DART for free of cost. So that's a major perk. And next. All right, Karthikeyan will explain the selection.
Yeah. Hi guys, this is Karthikeyan. So I was, as Vishal said, I was a DARTwise fellow last year. And the thing is, according to their website, you would see the eligibility criteria to be 8.5, minimum CGPA of 8.5. But what happens in practice is that DARDWISE turns out to be a highly CG-centric fellowship, and I would suggest a minimum of 9.4 out of 10 would be required for you to be in the race, because the problem here is from a pool of 2000 applicants, they are going to shortlist around 80 to 130 applicants. So you can see the sort of competition which is there. So we cannot blame them. So it's CGPA is a easiest elimination criteria they have. So if you have more than 9.4 CGPA, it helps you, and you stand a chance to get this fellowship. So why I suggest people with less than 9.4 not to apply? It's due to two reasons. One reason being it's a very tedious and time consuming process, as we will be walking you through the entire process of this internship. You will get to know that it's highly tedious process, and also given the fact that they are going to award only 80 to 130 fellowships, by the time they come to the CGPA level of 9.4, they would exhaust the number of fellowships available. So I would strongly suggest only people with more than 9.4 CGPA to apply to the WISE program. But as Vishal pointed out earlier, Ankit bagged an internship from Germany without getting a word of DARDWISE. So it's definitely possible to go to Germany without DARDWISE. So I'm I'm talking regarding applying to the DARDWISE program. So yeah, they do look for your research profile, your previous research experience during your second year summer, or they also play the role. So I want to make the point that just having a higher CGPA might not be sufficient for you to get the fellowship. So that's the main point which I wanted to highlight to you regarding the selection. So this is not to discourage you guys, but this is to put the reality so that you don't waste time in going through this tedious process. The most important step in DARDWISE fellowships is that you have to find a host. A host means they can be a professor or scientist, or even a doctoral student or postdoc can hire you. That will fund that. And as Vishal pointed out earlier, you cannot have hosts from private universities or privately funded research institutes or any other company. So finding this host is a biggest hurdle in the entire process. So I would strongly suggest to start mailing by end of July. So maintain a Excel sheet of all professors of your interest, their mail ID, and also if they have their group page. You can have a list, because you can do it in an organized way. So once you mail them, you can mark them as done. So another thing is that you should also, you might not receive reply in the first mail. So you might have to send reminder mails, and one thing, don't become disappointed if you don't guest the host in the beginning, because we don't know when a correct host will come in your way. It can be your first mail or 100th mail. So anything is possible. So be hopeful, wait and be patient for getting a reply. And most important factor to include in your mail is that you let them know that your internship will be funded by DARD, because most of the cases professors hesitate to read the internship mail because they do not have funding, and they don't want to say no to you. The thing is, so they won't reply at all. So in the mail subject itself, request for internship, in the bracket put DARDWISE. So that will make them read your mail, and it's high chance that they will reply back to you. And another important fact, another important point is that you need to mention that you need the last date of application to DARD is November 1st. So they understand the urgency you are in. So they will reply at the earliest. And another thing is that you have to use is a mail scheduling. So now I think Gmail itself offers mail scheduling option. So better you ensure that they receive the mail at the start of the day, maybe 9 o'clock Germany time. You can look for the time difference, and then you can apply accordingly. So next is when you are searching for professors, when you go into the university website, uh, it's not very attractive, and sometimes it's even clumsy. So do not underestimate the rigor of German research by seeing. Don't judge their research by seeing their website. Sometimes you will find insufficient information about professors. So they will mention the broad area of research, but they might not tell you their publications or what they are currently interested in and their projects they have. So the best tool to use for these things is search their name in ResearchGate or Google Scholar. So the important thing to note, don't judge German universities or research institutions by their websites. They're really good, and you will definitely not regret applying there. So regarding the reminder mail, you can remind them maybe after 10 days. 10 days is ideal. So here we have mentioned weekly or fortnightly, but 10 days is ideal. You can remind them of, after 10 days. So where do we find our hosts? So like our IITs, we have a system of universities called as group of universities called as TU9. So you can go to these universities. These universities are among the top universities in the Germany. You can find professors from here, and there are other universities which are good too. But just because they are not part of TU9, it doesn't mean they are bad. So you have to look for other universities too. There are you can look at the rankings of the universities. Maybe that might help you. Maybe you can search in QS or something. So that might give you an idea, because not every time TU9 is not part of TU9 means they are bad. So once there are some examples such as Ruhr University Bochum, which is not part of TU9, and also University of Heidelberg. So there are many examples of such universities which are really good, but they are not part of TU9. So you have to, for the initial search, you might use TU9, but you have to widen your search. So other than these universities, you will have research publicly funded research institutions such as Max Planck Institutes and Fraunhofer Society and German Aerospace Center and many more. Over to Vishal, he will explain to you about the Max Planck Institute.
All right. Regarding the Max Planck Institutes, there are a lot. I mean, there's literally a Max Planck Institute for every kind of research, ranging from natural sciences to electronics to robotics to control to metallurgy to everything. I mean, so you can also look into mailing the scientists that work in these institutes. You can just use the Wikipedia link and search for any Max Planck that overlaps with your area of interest. Just read through the profile of the scientists there. You can mail them. One more advantage you have apart from DART is that some of the Max Planck institutes have their own internship programs. So even if you don't get DART, you can still talk to the scientists and apply to the program there, and then wait for the results. So that's also a really lucrative option there. And of course, the Fraunhofer Institute is similar to Max Planck, and you have a wide variety of research there. You can also look into that. And DLR, as I said, it's kind of like the I wouldn't say exactly ISRO. It's kind of like ISRO for Germany, but they have a lot of departments as well. So Karthikeyan did an internship in DLR, German Aerospace Center, and he was for metallurgy. So he did material science in DLR. So just because it's something is aerospace doesn't mean they only do research in that. So they have a variety of departments. So I would just say Google, and this is just a starting point for you, because when we were applying for the universities, we didn't know anything about these kind of universities that were present. So we didn't even know about Fraunhofer or Max Planck that much. So once we went there, when we started to interact with other interns, so we learned about this information, and okay, we thought this might be a good way to allow the juniors to try for these opportunities. So just make sure that they are government funded. I mean, there might be more institutes other than the 3 that we put. These were the main 3 that we could find. If you do find any other research institute, just make sure that they are publicly funded, so that you can try for DARWISE. Yeah, and next. All right. So I think this is after you get a host. So what do you need to do? These are just some list of documents that we have compiled. You don't have to know this right now. Just you can probably, when you're applying, you can just give it a go through. Some of the important letters is the no objection certificate. You will need to put in your exact date of internship and upload it in the portal, because only from these dates will DARD fund your internship, and later it might be difficult to adjust the date. So if you, let's say, plan to start your internship from May 15th and end it by, let's say, August first week or something, pinpoint the date exactly, and DARD will give you the money only for those dates. They'll exactly calculate the 25 euros per day policy and give you that money. So make sure you fill in the dates correctly, and you have a motivation letter that Karthikeyan will talk in the next slide, and you have the transcript. And please, third years who are going to apply right now, I would say try to secure an e-transcript from the academic department as soon as possible. So it should have your last 4 semesters GPA, grades, and everything. And resume, yeah. And third is, please don't use the TNP format that is given to you for sitting for internships. That's not very attractive. That's just a format that the college follows. You can browse through Overleaf or LaTeX or some other websites to find some good resume templates, and try to model your resume based on that. So yeah. I guess that's it. There are some more forms and everything, but I guess those are very tiny details that probably can be that need to be looked into once you start exactly applying. So the next slide.
Yeah. So motivation letter. So this is the most important part in your DARD application. I think is that you need to have it 1.5 to 2 pages long, and you can use the standard font size with 1.5 line spacing. That should be fine. Here, this how motivation letter should look like. So you have to justify your research interest in the particular area. And most importantly, do not give stories. Keep it crispy and short, and do not exceed 1,000 words at any cost. So first thing is, you should establish that what motivates you to do research in the particular domain, and then you have to talk about the project which is offered by your host. In the approval form, which is listed in the last slide, your host has to describe the project. So you need that project description. You have to describe that project in your own words, and tell them how doing this project is going to help you in the career. And one important thing, this might sound a bit cringe, but you have to tell that this internship and this experience will motivate you to apply for masters in Germany. That you have to talk about Germany. You have to talk about Germany a bit there. But most important point is that limit yourself to less than 1,000 words. Do not use any existing templates, because they read a lot of SOPs like that. So if they feel like this is from some template, it is not going to get selected. So before asking seniors for SOP draft or SOP opinion, the first draft of the SOP, in any case, not just for DARWISE, any SOP, the first draft should be yours. You shouldn't be influenced by any other SOP. So you can ask for suggestions and all that is fine, but drafting this first draft on your own is very important. And again I repeat, do not give stories. Please be crisp and it should be honest. Don't cook up stories and tell. And you can talk about your previous projects, and more importantly you have to talk about the project which we will do in Germany. So yeah, Vishal.
Yeah. Okay, so the DAR's final stages. So you'll be submitting the various documents that I listed in the 2 slides before. You'll be uploading them into the DART portal, and DART will give you an application summary, basically a list of all the documents you've submitted, and you will have to take a hard copy of it. You'll have to take a printout of 22 pages, and then the letter of reference, or as people know it, the letter of recommendation. So unlike other internship processes, DART has a different way of obtaining a letter of reference. They have their own format, which is given in the DART portal. You will have to download it and send it to your host. I mean, not host, sorry, your recommender. Probably from your previous guide in your second year, or a current faculty, whoever you are asking for an LOR. So it's basically a set of questions in a PDF. So they'll ask a question, there'll be a box to answer, and your recommender can just type their response. For example, there'll be questions like, how do you feel is the students' research capability, or how good is the academic wise? So things like that. Just a minute. Is that an echo? All right. Okay. So these are a few questions that is usually asked in that PDF or the recommendation format, and your recommender has to fill that in completely, and he has to take a printout of it. He has to put in his signature and seal, and he has to hand over the physical copy to you. So this was possible when we were in college. I mean, during the COVID times, I don't know how exactly DART is going to revise this kind of application. You might move it online, or in case it's not possible, you will have to ask your recommender to courier the letter of reference. So the letter of reference is a hard copy, and the application summary as well. So you'll probably have 25 to 26 pages that you will have to courier to the DART office finally. Only then your application is complete, and you'll have to do this by November 1. Probably they'll allow for a 1 or 2 days delay depending on your courier or something like that. But you have to try to submit your hard copy of the application by November 1st. So remember why we told people with CG less than 9.4 not to consider applying this is because of the tedious process this involves. You not only have to send the courier, you have to ask a host to, especially in the COVID times right now, you have to ask the host to fill in the application, or you'll have to fill in, ask them to sign it, and there's a lot of stuff involved. It's not like, MyTax or something. You can just ask the recommender to just upload the LOR in the portal. It does not work like that. So it's also cost because you have to courier it to DART. I mean, the DART-wise is still a bit of a tedious and frankly outdated process. So that's the end of the DART application as such. So next slide. All right. So why Germany? So basically, people looking to apply to Germany or DART-wise through DART-wise, or even separately. One thing I've noticed there is that I mean, the picture, I mean, what I see on the website does not match what's there. I mean, I was under a very bad impression initially because my college website, I mean, the university to which I applied to was, I mean, it had a very shitty website, to be honest. But I mean, when I went there, when I met the people working, when I met my guide and everything, I mean, it was really amazing, man. It was like they had world-class facilities and everything. The thing is that Germans are not, I mean, they're slowly learning, but they're not too much keen on this digital presence that you call it. So they have very good papers and everything, which will be evident if you Google the through Google Scholar or ResearchGate. If you try to find, you find many of the people working in Germany have very good research papers and everything, and the facilities are almost really good. And as you said, Germany is you get to meet a lot of other international people there. I met a lot of people from Vietnam, from Portugal, from Spain, and it's just a mix of diversity, and you get to learn a lot about culture and everything. And the German work culture is something that is very good. I mean, even the US culture, work culture is nothing compared to it, because in Germany, people try to work only from 9 to 5 or even less. They feel if the work is done, they just leave. They prioritize work and spending time with their family equally. So you won't find many people working overtime, even in labs. Some people might due to some excessive research or something, but you would find that even most of the professors and everyone would be done maximum by 5 or 6, and probably they'll start their mornings at around 9 or 10. So that's the kind of work culture. It's very relaxing, and they don't pressure you to work overnight or even in the weekends. So your weekends will be almost completely free as an intern. Some of the perks of going to Germany. And I think regarding German universities, people probably looking to apply for their masters. I'll put this here just in case you in the future you're thinking about applying for a masters in some area. German is very cheap compared to the US. US generally a masters will cost around 40 to 50 lakhs in average. It usually costs more than that, and you'll have to take out a loan and everything. But in Germany, most of the master's program, especially in engineering, is very cheap. It's around. I mean, NIT fees. I would say it's close to NIT's fees. And in some states of Germany, even the fees is tuition is free for international students, so you'll hardly be paying except for your rent and everything. One thing would be the language barrier that people would feel, and some of the master's courses are usually in German, but you'll find English courses as well. So you'll have to dig a bit through the Google, but ultimately I would say go for it, because it will not put you in crippling debt. And if you have a chance to go do an internship in that, I would suggest you go for it, if through Dartwise or in any alternative measures. So next. Karthikeyan.
Yeah.
All right. So Karthikeyan will explain.
Yeah. In addition to what Vishal said on Hawaii, Germany, it's not just about cheap, and you get the same quality of education you expect from US. So it's not to bash about US. I'm also going to US, but for a PhD program though. But German programs are really great. When it comes to masters, they offer the same quality at a very low price. And the reason being that education is not a business over there, so they do it like a service. So the quality is unparalleled. You can find many top universities in the top 10-20 of your fields, so that definitely you should consider applying to Germany for your masters too, not just going for an internship. So that's the point about the thing. As Vishal pointed out, some states, especially the densely populated state called as NRW, offers a free tuition to international students. You might have heard of RWTH Aachen University. It is very quite famous in most of the core engineering domains, mostly non-secretarial. RWTH is like a paradise for non-secretarial people. So there is no tuition, and many cities are student cities, so that even your cost of living will not be that much. So those are the perks you get if you do your higher studies in Germany. Okay, it's a bit of out of the topic, because now it's about internship, but we wanted to make this a point. Yeah, the location. You go on a Shenzhen visa, so you can hang out a lot during the weekends. So, for example, we visited France, Switzerland, and there are a lot of things to do in Germany too. So you can roam anywhere you want. And some people went to Netherlands, like Amsterdam, or some of the Dard Vice Fellows went to Belgium, Austria. You can visit a lot of places. So you can, as Vishal pointed out, that work-life balance is perfect there. You need not worry about work and during the weekends, and you can just enjoy the experience. Traveling gives you a lot of experience, so Germany gives you that opportunity too. So that's also an additional perk in addition to the kind of work you do and the exposure, the technical exposure you get. This also helps you develop as a person, not just technically but also personally. Oh, these are some photos. This is Versailles Palace in France. This is in front of Eiffel Tower, you know. This is Bayern Munich Stadium, and this is also from Munich. So these are some photos we wanted to. Yeah. Now we will tell you some personal experiences other than. Okay, because talking about keeping technical things aside, it definitely it's a hell a lot of experience there. So we will share our experience. So some stories, we will tell those stories. Vishal.
Yeah, so I think you can start. I think the first one is the pork hummus.
Yeah, this is a bit serious story, and this has some things to learn also. So the thing is, during the second week of my internship, I went to visit one of my friend who also happens to do a Dard Vice internship in the city named Bochum, which is some 100 kilometers away from where I did my internship. So I went there for a weekend. So our weekend was almost done. So we hanged out to places like the parks nearby and all those things. So I planned to leave on Monday morning. There is in a bus, because directly go to the office. So as it is 100 kilometers, you know, German highways are very fast. They are called as autobahn. So 100 kilometers you can reach in train takes almost maybe half an hour to 40 minutes to cover 100 kilometers. So I thought of traveling in the on Monday morning, but in the midnight of Sunday, I had a serious medical emergency, so which I had to rush to a hospital in the midnight around 3 a.m. So I went to yes, their German healthcare is also top notch. So they arranged for an ambulance, and immediately they diagnosed that I was suffering from kidney stones. So they wanted to operate on. So the thing was, uh, they wanted me to consent for the operation. And unfortunately, the point to be noted is that the DARD insurance doesn't cover major surgery. Major surgeries means which includes heart, brain, kidneys, or liver or lungs. So in these 5-6 organs, if you are going to do a surgery in Germany, this DARD insurance will not cover. So I had to rush back to India. So this was a very horrible nightmare. Thing which I wanted to, the learning from this story is that thing is, when I got admitted in the hospital in Bochum, so they asked me my address to send the bill. They didn't give me any bill. So they just saw my insurance and they permitted to be admitted in the hospital. So I was there almost from the night to next evening. So they didn't give me the bill at hand, and they asked me my address. So while I was here back in India for a week, I received a mail posted to my address in which I was staying. So it was asking me to pay 500 euros within a period of 2 weeks. Then only I realized that I should have given the address of the insurance company while they asked me the address. I shouldn't have given my address. So this is one point to be noted, that in case if you are going to visit a doctor, not for emergency, even for a small cold or something, when you go to the doctor, they will give bills for even a very small thing. So you can ask them to send the bill directly to the insurance company so that it will be taken care of. In my case, I had to pay that 500 euros first. Then I had to submit a reimbursement form, which I received only at the end of the thing. So it made my financials a bit tight during my stay. So please be aware of this insurance things. These are very small details, but this can help you come out successfully after any problems there. Over to Vishal, he will tell his hilltop Home Alone story.
All right, so don't expect much. Okay, the thing was that I was supposed to work in the domain of astronomy. So in astronomy, we had the observatory in which belonged to the University of Heidelberg. So the observatory was present at the top of a hill because less atmospheric distraction and other noises. So the thing was that I was searching for accommodation when my guide suggested me that he had a spare guest room in the observatory, and it was very cheap compared to what I had to pay in the middle of the city. So I told okay, I didn't know better. So actually, when I went there, I was in a really dire situation because apart from 2 or 3 houses down the observatory, there was no shops or nothing, and a bus would come once in every hour to pick you up, and there was just like a forest throughout. So the first couple of days, I was like literally alone, and I basically stayed in the observatory office. So there was like the second floor where I stayed, and in the first floor, people came and worked in the morning. So it was kind of an awkward situation. And even after, like I told you about the German work culture, they would leave sharply around 5 or even earlier than that. And after 5, the entire office, the building would just be like dead silent, and I would just be chilling in my room. I would be using the office kitchen. So the one of the points to note is that whenever you're looking for, I mean, this is a very specific situation, but try to look for good places, even if it costs a bit higher than your budget. Uh, uh, Preferably in the middle of the town or at least in the slight outskirts. Don't look somewhere truly remote or something. Because most of you guys, I don't probably won't be going to astronomy as such, so you won't be having this problem. Probably you'll be having your research buildings in the town itself. So look for close by accommodation, and even if you don't find close enough accommodation, Germany's public transportation system is amazing. You can literally get anywhere to anywhere using that. So you don't even need to have a cycle or anything. So look for your accommodation wisely. You have some websites like WG, just it's like a shared apartments or websites. People who are like really looking to accommodation right now, probably you can contact us later. We'll provide you with the links. And just that is my Home Alone story. I had some problems also because there are a couple of days where the building just lost the entire power, and the office was also on leave for 3 days. So I had to sleep in the haunted office in the middle of the woods by myself, like for like 2 days without power. It was a bad time, but yeah, I mean, it was a good learning experience, I guess. All right, so Lost in a Village, I think Karthikeyan will continue.
Yeah, so as Vishal said, don't look for accommodation anywhere in the woods. And I did a mistake because I booked for accommodation in Airbnb because I thought, okay, that was a cheap accommodation. So I booked it. In map, it seemed that it was near the city of Cologne, but it was not. So it's far away from the city, some 20-25 kilometers away from the city in a village. So the last in the village is that, okay, that I had a lot of trouble in transportation. In addition to that, on the first day of my internship, I went to office and I forgot to take my charger or power bank with me. So while I was on my way back, I lost power in my mobile. So I also boarded in a wrong train. So the train doesn't stop in the village in which I first had the accommodation. So I went to the other station. So as I didn't understand the language in the first, I was confused and boarded wrong train again and missed that station, and I was going forward and back. So it was almost it became dark at 7:30 or something. I didn't have phone to call or anything was there. This village was somewhat outside the. So finally, I managed to reach the station where I used to live. But the thing was, the village is around 800 meters, 900 meters away from the railway station. So thing is, as I didn't have map, I don't know the address. So I had the address written on paper because I was fortunately had the address written on a paper, bit of paper. So that helped me in having the address. So I shouted help and standing by standing in the highway. Fortunately, a old woman speaking French stopped by and asked, "What are you searching for?" Then I showed the address and I wanted to go to this address. Then she asked me to wait, and after picking somebody from that station, she typed that address on her map navigation, and finally I reached home at 10 o'clock in the night. So this is the Lost in a Village story. Over to Vishal to share about his experience in Berlin.
All right. So people going to Germany or any major city in Germany, please be very careful. When I went to Berlin, I stayed in the town of Heidelberg. But I went to Berlin with a couple of friends there. One of the mistakes I made is when I took the cash in euros from here, I took it as a single €100 note. I didn't break it down. I was in a hurry, so I just kind of went with it. And Berlin has a lot of theft, especially pickpocketing in crowded places, because there are people who just roam around like this. And I got pickpocketed out of €100. That translates to around 8,000 rupees in Indian. And I was like literally heartbroken, man. I was like, I would be devastated if I lost around 200 or 300 rupees. Now it's like 8,000 rupees just lost. But it was an important lesson that I learned. So there are some people, especially in the major cities like Paris, Berlin, Munich, any major cities, even like Cologne, some places like this, there'll be people who will be trying to pickpocket you, or they'll try to, try to sign you up for let's say a social cause or something like that. And when you're being distracted by that, they'll ask you for money, and they'll try to cheat you out of it. This happened to a few of my friends as well. So be very careful when you're navigating big cities in Germany. I mean, it's there in almost every big city in the world, but these are some personal experiences that we had. So I'm just warning you now. You'll hear this advice when you go there as well. So it doesn't happen as much in smaller towns and towns like Heidelberg, where I stayed. It was very peaceful. But when you go to more metropolitan cities like Berlin, Munich, even like if you go to visit Paris or Prague in Czech Republic, those places are full of people who will try to rob you. So just be careful. I'm not trying to scare anyone. It's always to be make sure you bring cash in small denominations. Don't carry too much cash. Get yourself an international debit card. I probably forgot to put this in the slide. People going to places like Germany or anywhere in Europe or even the US, you can get yourself an international debit card. Even I took an SBI international debit card, so I used that for the couple of days when shopping in Germany. DARD will not provide you the money in your Indian bank account, so you'll have to go over there. You will have to search for your own bank account and try to open it and then give the details over to them. So DAR will take roughly around 2 to 3 weeks to give the money, depending on when you find the bank. So you'll have to manage your finances by then. And find the dinner of leaves. Okay, I think this story, the dinners of leaves, I think that applies to mostly vegetarians. So
Yeah.
I don't think non-vegetarians will have
any problem in Germany.
Germany, especially when me and Karthikeyan went to Munich, it was late in the night, so we were staying in when we are having dinner in a restaurant. we couldn't find anything vegetarian remotely. So we had to order a salad, tell them to remove the egg portion of it. The waiter was like really weirded out by that. And and the salad was really expensive, man. There was like some 15 or 20 euros, I guess.
Yeah, it was 20 euros and it was in a 3-star hotel. So they called it salad. So I expected some vegetables or something on that, but it was completely leaves. we shared that single plate of that leaves for
That was not enough.
night.
Yeah.
It was not enough for both of us, but we had to, because 15 euros, so we cannot get 2 plates of those leaves.
So right. So but apart from these hotels, you have places like Subway, McDonald's, where we kind of survive. Subway has a lot of vegetarian options, provided you are close enough to eat and you have enough time to go over there and eat. So vegetarians, you can look out for these places, and like Subway, McDonald's, or any other pizza places or something.
We survived mostly on those things.
Yeah. So yeah, and I guess Germany also has a weird culture of having like they don't open any of the grocery shops or any major shops on Sunday. So you'll have to do all your groceries and everything by Saturday evening, or you're done. You can't be like, okay, I'll just chill on Saturday and I'll go shopping on Sunday. No, it doesn't work like that. Only the restaurants will be open on Sundays. That's a kind of a bad thing on German side, but I think they feel like they need to give their employees a day off. So that's a good thing actually. Probably a bad thing for us, but yeah. I guess that's the end of the stories for us.
Yeah.
We'll give it to Ankit to explain how he obtained a internship outside of Dartwise. Just give him a lesson, and yeah. So Ankit can take over.
Yeah, I can stop sharing.
Yeah.
My screen. Yes.
So I can start?
Yeah, you can start.
Yeah. Thanks, Vishal and Karthikeyan for my introduction. So guys, I am from EC 4th year. I did my internship at FAU Erlangen Nuremberg. Are you able to hear an echo?
Yeah, okay, so the echo. I guess not.
It's fine?
Now?
Yes.
Okay. So I will be speaking about doing internship in Germany without DART. So I will be speaking about 2 points. One is self-funded, another is funded, but there are specific points you have to remember for that. So my internship was self-funded. So I have specific points I will be telling about you. First, the difference in email. For DART wise, you are mentioning that the DART will be offering you scholarship throughout the program. So initially so Vishal was my guide throughout this process. My CGPA was not 9.4, it was around 9. So he initially told me not to go through DART because I won't be able to secure it. I didn't mention anything about the funding sources in the email. I was sending emails. I sent around 40 to 50 emails. I was not getting any reply. So after a couple of weeks, I started sending email. I was mentioning that I will self-fund or maybe the professor will partially fund. I was writing in that. So I started getting reply. After 1 month, I sent around 150 emails. I got reply from 3 of the PhD scholars there. I had interviews and as well as some of them gave me tasks. I was able to get acceptance to 2 of the universities in Germany. I got rejected from 1. Okay. So the next problem was in the interview, the PhD scholar told me that the professor won't be able to fund my intern. So I was still looking for another opportunity in Germany, but I was not able to find any. So I had to go for a self-funded internship in Germany. Hello. Hello.
Yeah, you're audible. Go ahead, Ankit.
Audible. Okay. Okay. I was mailing till around February first week. Then I got tired because I was not able to get even a partially funded scholarship. So I decided to go on for one of the acceptance I got, that was in Erlangen, Nuremberg, and the second one I didn't said anything to him, but during the time of COVID I told him that I won't be able to join him to both of the my acceptances, and I got rejected. Like I lost both of my interns. Then after 3 weeks, around mid of April, I got the reply from the PhD scholar that the professor is ready to accept me as a remote intern. My project was mostly based on software, so it was easy for me to do the intern rather than going into any hardware stuff. So this was how I got my intern back. I worked from April mid to August end nearly. It was about 4.5 months. So my project was a combination of computer graphics and generative adversarial networks. So through this process, through this intern, what all challenges through this intern, I had weekly meetings with the I was assigned two of the PhD scholars. One was uh, has an expertise in computer graphics. The other one had an expertise in deep learning. So we had weekly meetings. I had to report them what all work I did throughout the week. So the intern was like quite chill. Uh, they never forced me, or like there was no specific deadline for the intern. For the first 5 weeks, I was not well aware of the computer graphics software, so they gave me tasks to learn more about it. And my main intern started by the 6th week, in which I was combining that computer graphics with deep learning models. So to this, what all challenges I faced? The major challenge was like doubt solving. If I had a doubt, I cannot directly go to that person and ask him, because he was also working on his own project. I used to send him emails, but I used to get a reply day after. So most of the problems I was facing, I was able to handle on my own. I was searching on the internet, and the topic that I was working on is fairly very new. So it was quite difficult to find out the errors which I was going through in my code as well as the theoretical part. Why did I? The internship was self-funded, but I was not able to go to Germany, so it was like free of cost for me. Uh, some of my friends said that I am wasting like money by going to Germany for intern rather than I should have done in India. But the main motivation for me was like I have been to Germany before a couple of years ago, so I knew about the work culture there, and they don't force you to do any work. They won't ask you like there is no specific deadline for that. They just need the work done. You work for 4 hours a day or 5 hours a day. It doesn't matter to them. They just need the work done. So this was from my side. I had these specific points. If you have any more questions to ask, I am ready to answer that.
So you can also ask questions to us regarding the Dart process. I think, Shashwat, can we start the question answer?
Yeah, definitely. So there was this question about basically what Ankit is talking about. If
Yeah.
people don't satisfy the Dart-wise criteria for the GPA. So I would actually like
Shashwat,
add something to that. Hello?
BWS. Can I speak about that?
Yeah. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, people who have got acceptances in the state of Baden-Württemberg, that's a state in Germany. It includes the University of KIT, then Stuttgart, Tübingen. Uh, in these, you can apply for a specific scholarship that is called BWS, Baden-Württemberg Stipendium. For this, you have to get the acceptance from the professor, as you did in DART. Then you have to tell the professor that you will be applying for the BWS scholarship. Then you have to contact the international office of the host university. They will process you through they will do the process for you. You don't have to do anything. They will ask you to submit the documents to them. If you are eligible and you get the scholarship, you will be notified, but the minimum duration for that internship is 3 months, and you will be getting 1400 euros per month, which is nearly double than that of DARD. From my batch, three of my batchmates got. All of them were in KIT. I haven't heard of anyone else from any other universities. So this was from my side.
Right. So the BWS program is another program apart from DARD that you guys can look at. So it is called BWS REK, I guess. I'm not exactly sure. I will find out and actually put a message on this chat box or on the WhatsApp group about the exact scholarship program. So that, as far as I know, it doesn't have this strict GPA criteria like DART does. Like he said, if you get an internship acceptance in one of the colleges in that particular state of Germany, so you might be eligible for that scholarship if you contact the international office of that institute. So more details about that you can probably find it on the website of the scholarship website. But the thing is, this year our batchmates could not go for that internship, so that is why there's nobody who can actually speak about the exact experience of that scholarship. So in general, what I would say is, if you, yes, DARD wise, like they said, has a very solid criteria for CGPA. They do give a very optimistic criteria of 8.5 plus, but then no, that's not how it works. And these both did a really good job about telling you that don't waste time if you don't satisfy the criteria that they've told you. But having said that, what I would really recommend is, if you would have attended the previous session that we had conducted on research internships, whatever Ankit told you, the mailing procedure remains the exact same. So you need to go through the cold mailing process, even for DARD or even without DARD. So you have to do that process. And if you have DARD, you can just attach that one line saying that I might be funded by DARD scholarship. But if you don't, then you cannot attach that. So the it's a very luck based process, to be honest. Like he said, he sent 150 emails and he got three replies. For me, it was 50 emails and I got one reply. And for many of my other friends, they just sent like 2 3 emails and they got a reply, or 10 emails and then they got a reply. So it's highly luck based. And there are several things that you can do, like probably in the mails, if you cannot fund your or self fund your internship to Germany, you can probably mention that you're not you won't be able to fund your internship, and probably that can fetch you an internship with funding. And in any case, what my recommendation would be is, if you really want to go for an internship in Germany, start the cold mailing process. And once you start getting an acceptance, or if a professor is interested in your profile, then go ahead and extend the discussion and speak to them once you get the acceptance, if there is a possibility of funding. So funding can be of many things. So there is, when it comes to funding, there is airfare, and then there is the accommodation, and this food. Even if the professor does not say give you a stipend, if the professor can provide accommodation and some food allowance, that itself is a really good opportunity for you to take. So that will be a really one of the large costs for you to live in Germany. That will be accommodation. So if that can be covered by your professor, probably they can give you a dorm room or something like that, then that is a good opportunity as well. So that comes after you apply through the cold mailing process and all of that stuff. So yeah, we have a doubt, we can start with the question and answers. If you have a doubt, you can leave a message on the chat box, or you can even unmute yourself and ask.
I think Shashwat, there was this question that was there in the
Yeah,
before.
Yoda project. Yeah.
so yeah,
I think,
can
can
I
you just
start, or can I
Answer.
start
Should
answering
I
the
read
question?
that?
Yeah, you
yes,
can read
Yes,
that
yes.
so that.
1 second. Yes. So let me just share my screen probably so everybody can read that. It'll be easier. All right. So we had this question in the forum. So it was about basically if the person has a supervisor for the summer internship, but the problem being perhaps due to the COVID situation, I'm assuming that the international office is basically not allowing them to go for the internship, and the question is whether that might change over time and what needs to be done in that case. I think the same person wishes to unmute and ask the question. Yeah, you can go ahead, Chaitanya. You can unmute yourself.
Hello, greetings everyone, and thanks seniors for organizing this webinar. First of all, so the question is really it is about the KIT Institute only. The guide is from the KIT Institute, and she is happy to supervise me, but she is very new at the institute. She's just been appointed as assistant professor like month or two before. So she doesn't know any legal procedure, I guess, and she told me that international office is not telling her anything. So she's actually very confused, and I told her about the advice, and she hasn't said anything yet. I wanted to ask if can I ask offer letter from her directly for the advice, and can I apply with it?
Yeah, answering your question, it's a bit tricky question, but this can be answered because DARD-wise doesn't ask any letter from international office or something. So you need to get a letter only from the host, and the approval form should be signed by the host. So the thing is, I suppose you will not be very much connected with the international office as such. Yeah, you ask your professor to discuss with the department whether they are ready to permit you inside the department, because you need to use the department facilities. So if the concerned department doesn't have any problem in allowing you to use their facilities, I don't think any problem coming in the way of this international office. Maybe if you are considering BWS or something like that, international office has a role to play. So, but as far as DARD-wise is concerned, she can go ahead and give a invitation letter and approval form. But she needs to confirm with the concerned department that the department is willing to permit you to use their facilities. That's the most important point you need to get clarified before coming with this. Other than this, I don't feel any other problem with this situation. You have to talk to your prospective host.
All right. The permission of the department is necessary for the advice, not international office.
Not the international office.
Okay. And can you tell me more about that PW scholarship? I didn't know much about it before. It might be of help to me. Any deadline and all.
There's no
so
specific
Ankit has
deadline
sent
for
a
that.
link on the chat box. You can check the website.
All right. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
So regarding regarding DARD, all you need to do is you need to get the invitation letter from your professor and an approval form that they will fill for you. KIT being one of the very famous universities in Germany, might regularly host internships. So that is not an issue. Probably
So
if
there
the
is some
professor is new
noise.
there.
Your voice is
Yeah,
breaking.
sorry, I
Yeah,
can't
his
hear you
voice is
properly.
breaking. Yeah. So
I
there
think
is some noise.
either it is from your side or from Vishal's.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
clearly.
So what I'm saying is, if your professor is new there, she can ask some other professor who's been there and hosted DARD interns, because it's a very common thing for professors in Germany, especially universities like KIT, to host DARD-wise scholars. So it's definitely, if she is not aware of the process, she can ask her a colleague. But like Karthikeyan said, as long as the department has no problem in inviting you, you don't need to bother. All she has to do is give you an invitation letter and fill a DARD approval form. That's all.
All right. So department permission. Okay. And just one more thing. Because of this COVID-19 situation, uh, even if I do get selected for Dadwise, assuming, what if the internet? Is there any guarantee that international office may change decision or not? I
No,
mean,
this
any
is
idea
as
about
we
it?
pointed out that international office has no role to play in DARDWISE. So it's not dependent on international office decision. If Germany government is permitting you to enter Germany, and if the department is ready to give their facilities to you, and the professor is willing to guide, I don't see any problem with that international office. So as I pointed out, that international policy office policy doesn't play a role in DARD.
All right. That's
Also, what I have found out from a few of my juniors who've been applying is many of the professors are telling them that they're willing to accept, but they don't know what the scenario will be, especially regarding the institute's policy for bringing in international students given the COVID situation. I think that's what you're also concerned about.
yes,
So
exactly.
many professors they said that that shouldn't be an issue as long as you have a COVID negative test taken before you come to Germany. And because most of the countries are now opening up, even our actually country, we are peaking, but still we are opening up. And I'm pretty confident, like by summer, everything will again go back to as it was, at least as long as you have your COVID-19 negative tests. So that's what a few professors have been suggesting to some of the juniors who have gotten an acceptance or a positive reply from professors. They've said that as long as you can get that report when you come to Germany, you should be good.
Yeah, there is an uncertainty associated with COVID, but hopefully by next summer it should be okay.
Yeah, that's all we can hope so at least.
Yeah.
Uh, can you speak a little more on the dates? I was very skeptical about the dates of
Yeah,
internship.
for the while obtaining NOC, you have to put in the dates. If you are I think Vishal pointed out that if you are starting your internship on 15th May, in the duration of the internship, you should put from 15th May so and so year to 15th July or something. So the date is very important. Sometimes we can just you cannot put May to July or something. You need to be specific about the date. So you have to discuss with your professor after he has given you the invitation. You have to ask him whether what is the date of the internship. For the approval form also you need to put in the date. So while that you have to discuss about the dates, and then you have to put the exact date in the NOC, or else NITDC will give NOC without reading it. But once you submit the form, DAR will ask you to send again the NOC, because I had to send my NOC once again because I didn't put the exact date. So you please put exact date in the uh, NOC. So that's the point. Is it clear right now?
Yes, all right. And are the dates kind of flexible because of this
Yes.
pandemic situation at least?
See,
Without the pandemic, also it's flexible.
yeah, it's just a formality. You can be 1 or 2 days late. That doesn't make any problem.
See, you can reach Germany earlier or later. That does not matter. But the thing is, the dates in which you fill it and submit to DART, those are the dates from which DART will fund you.
The
Okay, so
$25, €25 thing is from the dates of the internship.
So let's say you submit in your NOC and approval form that you're going to do your internship from 15th May to, let's say, 1st of August or 2nd of August. So you are allowed to reach earlier. You can start maybe from 13th of May or something. That depends on the visa application. You can say I need to reach early or something like that. They're not going to be bothered exactly by like some 2 or 3 days gap of DART funding. But once you reach there, you'll find that the extra days that you stayed, let's say you reached Germany by 13th of May, but in your form it was given that you will be starting your internship from 15th. DAR will calculate its funding only from 15th. So I hope you understood that.
Yeah, if you arrive on
All right.
17th after approval from them, you get 2 days of extra funding from DAD. They don't mind.
So
All right.
also the internship period can be from 2 months to 3 months. And like when I inquired at the DARD office, you can start your internship anytime given that it ends before December of that year. So it is very flexible, the internship period, as long as you and your professor decide when to do the internship. So once you mention it in your,
some professors might want to stay 12 weeks. So some professors might be okay with less than 12 weeks. So you have to confirm that with professors too, because if you're starting NIT, sometimes you might not have sufficient vacation, so you need to arrive late, maybe by 1 week or something due to this. So you should be ready for that. Basically, at the 7th semester, I will be coming back, so I don't see any big problem with arriving late. It's also possible, so should be ready to do that. The NIT might require European a bit early. That is not a problem.
does that answer all your questions, Chaitanya?
Yes, yes. Thanks a lot. And I was really glad to hear your experiences also. Very excited. Let's see. Thanks a lot for guidance and all the hope.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
So, any
Alright,
other question?
We have some questions in the chat box.
Chat
Srivarsha has asked, is Saarland University a good choice?
I think Ankit, you have been researching Saarland, right, for
Yeah.
your masters.
Yeah, so I'm planning to go for masters in Europe, mostly in Germany and Netherlands. So for my program, which I have searched, it is on visual computing. So Saarland is one of the best universities for visual computing there. It depends upon what your research interest is. Don't go for a general ranking. Go for QS subject ranking, or for CSE students, there is a specific ranking for CS. In that, you can choose the specific interest like machine learning, web development. You can see that, and you can see the rankings. For my research interest, Saarland is a very good university. I think it answers your question. It depends upon your research interest.
So we have another question about any guidance about applying to bachelor's thesis in Germany.
Yeah, here there is a new revision from 2019 batch that NIT allows bachelor's thesis outside. So at this moment, that policy of NIT, we don't know what they mean by doing bachelor thesis outside, and the rules are not yet set by the institution. So as far as I know, DLR in which I did my internship, they allow people to come for bachelor thesis and all those things. But I am not really sure of NIT policy by meaning that bachelor thesis outside. I am not sure of that. So this is an evolving situation in NIT. So I'm not very sure about the policy, but definitely German universities and research centers in Germany will accept students for bachelor thesis, but DAR will not fund it. You have to fund on your own. That thing will be there. Does that answer the question?
Yeah. So basically the 2019-2023 batch, I think they have 7 semesters free to do a 6-month internship, and they don't have their thesis compulsory. So you guys have to, for NIT Trichy specifically I'm talking about, so you guys have to wait until you get some information from the dean academic about what is the plan for your batch. But for the third years now, you may not be able to go for your bachelor thesis because you might have courses to do here.
Yeah, because that policy does not apply to third years. That maybe only from second years they can use this policy.
Yeah. And for students outside NIT Trichy, you have to ask your college. So,
yeah, but Germany is open. That's the
Germany has a lot of opportunities for bachelor thesis. Again, the procedure would be the same. You have to mail professors. So many of them would have advertised positions for bachelor's thesis. So if you go on the website, you'll see bachelor thesis, master thesis, and all of these things.
Some of them are funded also.
Yes. You can mail the professors, and then you can have a interaction with them.
All right. So the next question.
The next question. Owing to COVID-19, many of the replies that I've gotten from professors have been directing me to reapply at the end of the year because the university is updating its policies regarding international interns. So would it be advisable to get a provisional acceptance? Yes, if you can get a
Yeah.
provisional acceptance, that'd be really good, because at the end of the year you can't apply to DAD. November
Yeah,
1st
you
is the
can't wait till
deadline.
end of the year. So you can't wait till end of the year. So you can don't name it as provisional acceptance letter or something. Write it as invitation letter. In that, add a word that it will depend on the prevailing situations during the time of internship. And that will also understand that, and it is not a problem. But don't tell provisional acceptance letter or something. It should be invitation letter. But the professor can indicate that this offer is subject to the changes during the due to the COVID-19. Even DART-wise fellowship will be evolving according to COVID-19, so you can definitely get an acceptance letter, but don't have the word provisional. That means nothing else.
Okay. Next question is, what's your view about mailing the PhD scholars directly instead of professors? How should we address the PhD scholars in the mail?
You can directly address them, so you can always better to address them with the last name, so that's the safest option. So you can address the PhD scholars, and it's not sometimes when you are applying to a big research group with under a big professor, it's a wise idea to apply to PhD scholars rather than mail the professors. Sometimes, interestingly, when we mail professors, we get reply from PhD scholars saying that because some PhD scholars read the professor's mail and they reply when they find a suitable intern. So that is also possible. So you can also you might not mail PhD scholars, but PhD scholar will still reply to you. So that is also another possibility, and you can definitely, it's nothing wrong in applying. Especially it works with bigger professors. If the professors are in their early career, you can mail them directly. There is no harm in doing that. But maybe aged people or something, then PhD scholars might be a good option.
I think Ankit, you mailed some
Yeah.
PhD scholars.
For my case, initially I was mailing only the professors. For the first 30 emails, I got reply from 3 or 4. Like they said that we do not accept interns, or we are not accepting interns. So after that, my friend told that mail all the PhD scholars, but don't mail all the PhD scholars in a lab at the same time. So I mailed around like 120 each day. I was mailing to like different labs, 20. So one of the PhD scholars, then after I took like 2 or 3 days gap, then again I was mailing to different PhD scholars in that lab. The PhD scholars mostly replies. Uh, if he is not clear also, he says that he will talk to professor. For in my case, the intern which I did, it took me around like 1.5 months for the confirmation that he's ready to take me. Initially he asked the professor, then he gave me a task as well as the interview. Then finally after 1.5 months he said that the professor is ready to accept me. So it becomes like a channel. It becomes easier if you contact PhD scholars, and if he is in direct contact with the professor.
All right. Does that answer your question, Vikash? Reply in a chat box. Okay, so we can go to the next question. Is November 1 the deadline for completing the application in the portal, or is it that our application summary should reach New Delhi office by November 1?
It's New
Technically,
Delhi office.
yeah,
Yeah,
New
technically
Delhi,
it should reach.
but they will accept 1 or 2 days delay in the reaching of
Maybe
the
up to
data.
5th of November they will accept the applications. But this thing is very strict. The 1st November deadline for completing the application in the portal is strict, but this 1st November reaching the New Delhi office is bit flexible, but not more than 2-3 days.
Yeah.
Maybe
Do
which
mail your application before 1st November. Like
that is
post it
safe.
from here, from your side, before 1st November, so that even if it reaches 2-3 days late, it, like given the pandemic situation as well, so don't, like, that is a bit flexible, like they say, but mail it before 1st November so that it tries to go there as soon as possible. Are there any other questions, guys? You can leave it in the chat box.
you can also unmute yourself and ask.
So in general, if you need more tips about how to go ahead with the mailing process that these guys were talking about and further details, we had conducted a webinar last week. However, there were some issues with the recording, so some parts of it got cut, and so we are still figuring out how to post it and make it available to everybody. But there was a link of resources that we shared with everyone, which had this database that Karthikeyan was talking about as to how to make your database. A template was given. So probably we could share it with all of you here. And there are other databases. There are other documents there which give you information about how to write your cover letters and all your SOPs and resumes. So a very generic idea about all of these things, you can get it from there. Also, one point I wanted to make was the motivation the statement of purpose or whatever, the motivation letter as part of the DARD application. For our batch, that actually was reduced to only project description. So I'm not sure how it is going to be in this year's application. I'm not sure if it has started yet. So typically it starts 6 weeks before November 1. So it should start sometime now. So you can go to portal.dart.de and check if the applications have started. So mostly the DARD application does not have anything beyond that one write-up, and these all these paperwork is a lot actually. We have a lot of approval letters, NOCs, and invitation letters, and all of these things. And you have to add all these small details in this huge application form PDF. But apart from that, there's not much writing as such. So you don't have to. So that's not a difficult part. Difficult.
You are not audible. It
So
was
the
breaking.
difficult part is about getting the acceptances.
Yeah. It's okay if you don't get your acceptance even now. I mean, I got my acceptance in the third week of October, and I had to rush my host.
Rush.
And yeah, and this is a you can do this one thing. I wouldn't recommend it unless it's an absolute emergency. But if you feel the deadline is very close and your host is suddenly not replying, let's say they've accepted you, but you require certain documents from them, like an invitation letter and an approval form that they need to fill and send it back to you. So without these two documents, you cannot technically complete the DARD application form. So if you feel your host is being suddenly not replying to your mails and you feel the deadline is really close, I mean, like I feel like maybe it's like you're in the third or the fourth week of October and it's hardly a week left, then maybe you can try calling your host. I did that to get my letters because I had hardly had 4 or 5 days for the deadline, so I was very scared. So I had to do that. Uh, but don't do that unless it's an emergency. Just wait for your host to reply to your email. And if you feel it's taking too long and it's very close to the deadline, just try calling them. You can use maybe international call, or there are some apps called Tring Me or something in the Play Store, which will allow you to make international calls over the internet. You need to pay like a very small amount, probably like $1 or two, probably to recharge it, and you can use it to talk for a few minutes. So that should be enough. Uh, so that's one thing I would advise you. Don't lose hope, man. Like it's still possible to get acceptance by the end of October. So just wait it out. We told you to start mailing by July because I mean it will give you a good head start. But I've known people, and personally, I've also really got the acceptance only at the end of October. So uh, just be patient and just hope for the best. Yeah.
Actually, like funny thing about my application was I got my acceptance in the first week of October, and I actually had an interaction with the professor on call on Skype. So basically, he filled my invitation letter and the approval form on call, but he had misspelled my name, and I noticed it at that point, and I told him, but he didn't notice that I told him that. Later, he emailed it to me, and then I again mailed him back, but he didn't reply to me for 2 weeks, and that got really close to my DART application, and I was like running around thinking, what should I do? But finally, he sent the updated document. So be very careful about all these details. Your name and all of these things should be like in the invitation letter and the approval form. And yeah, so I was also like waiting to the last minute, the last week of October to finish my application and send it. So it was a bit on the nerves. But yeah, you could start early so that we don't have these kind of issues. If there are any questions, you can drop it in the chat box, or else I think we are done with the session today.
Yeah.
Any other questions, guys?
I don't think there is any other question.
You can unmute yourself and ask the question instead of typing in the chat box.
I don't think they're going to do that.
I think it's done, I guess. So feel free to contact us through any of the social media or something if you have any doubt regarding DAD or any other process. We are happy to help you. So
Yeah, so and me and Ankit will also be applying for masters in Germany. I'm going for my masters to Germany, and Ankit is going to masters in Germany or Europe, Netherlands. So even if you have any doubts regarding that, you can probably contact us.
yeah,
Yeah.
for the application
So-
part is concerned, I also applied to Germany. So Germany applications for masters, it's a bit straightforward, not too convoluted as in US. So
One bonus point is there is no application fee for applying
Yeah.
for masters
so
in
the
Germany.
entire Europe doesn't have application fee, so you can just go on apply whatever university you like.
Not the entire Europe, only Germany, Netherlands, and other countries have.
Yeah, Belgium also doesn't have, I guess.
Okay, but Belgium, I think they have only 1 year master program for some of the courses.
Yeah, some of the courses it depends on the course and the
Yeah.
university.
So yeah, so what we'll do is we'll add these speakers today into the WhatsApp group that was created for all you attendees. So they'll also be made the admin, so you can probably contact them if they're fine with that. Like, don't pester them too much, I guess, but then you can obviously contact them and they will help you out definitely. So yeah, so I think we can end the session today on time for the first time.
We started on time and ending on time.
Yeah.
I guess that's it. Thank you guys for coming.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for your patient listening.